Hey, hope you're doing well. Andy here from Drive Steady, and in this video I'm reviewing the brand new 2022 Mercedes Benz C300. So listen up, the C-Class has been a staple product in Mercedes' lineup for decades, and now we have a new one. It gets a redesigned exterior and cool interior tech from its bigger brother, the S-Class. So let's keep the intro short so I can tell you all about this thing in this review of the Mercedes Benz C300. Alright, so let's start the review off by thanking Keys Mercedes for allowing me to review this C300 today. They have several of these in stock, AMG pack, non-AMG pack. So if you're interested in a C300 or any other Mercedes product, I've left their information in the description below. Make sure you give them a call. Now, I wanted to take a minute and talk about the trim levels in this new C-Class, because contrary to certain German manufacturers and their a la carte options, Mercedes is really starting to trim it down a little bit. To start, you have to choose between three trim levels. The premium trim, which starts at $43,500, jump up to the exclusive trim for an extra $2,200, and that nets you a couple items, but most notably surround view cameras and a Burn Mister 3D audio system. And finally, the top of the line Pinnacle, which adds Mercedes navigation and a heads-up display. But the most surprising thing of all is how well equipped the base premium trim level is in the new C-Class. I'm just going to rattle off a couple things for you as far as standard features. The 12.3-inch gauge cluster and the 11.9-inch center infotainment screen, keyless entry and go, an electronic closing trunk, blind spot monitoring, heated seats, a sunroof, and these are just a couple of the notable items. The standard equipment list is quite extensive, and I have to really tip my cap off to Mercedes for doing this, because even though their price of entry into this class of vehicle is higher than their competition, they're at least packing it in the standard C-Class trim level. Alright, so now let's talk about the exterior of the redesigned C-Class, and I think it looks good, specifically with the AMG package car. And if you're wondering, yes, it highly resembles the S-Class, hence why it's called the baby S-Class. But the new C-Class also has a sportier edge that the S-Class doesn't. For example, the hood has these sharp lines that give the C-Class a power bulge effect. The front and rear bumpers have an aggressive shape to them, and the overall smaller dimensions of the C-Class give it a sportier look. Now, one thing I gotta admit is the base non-AMG package car looks rather bland and uneventful. It's almost like you have to option in the AMG pack for this thing to look a little exciting. Now, beyond just the exterior looks, the dimensions, because they've grown from the prior generation. 2.5 inches longer, half an inch wider, and the wheelbase, which is essentially the distance between the wheels, is 1 inch longer, which means that you get more room on the interior of this new C-Class. Alright, so speaking of space, how about trunk space or cargo space? But before I get there, let me talk about some of the visuals back here. The taillights highly resemble the ones that you find in the S-Class. As a part of the AMG package car, you do get a more aggressive diffuser. And finally, a little spoiler here to give it that touch of sportiness in the AMG package. Now, let's talk about the trunk. So there are multiple ways of opening the trunk. There's a button on the interior, there's a button on the key, there's also comfort access right here on top of the license plate. seat, and you can also use the kicking motion. So once you open this thing, it is electronically opening, as I mentioned, as a standard feature. You're greeted with a pretty substantial amount of room, 12.6 cubic feet of space, and if that wasn't enough, you have the ability to fold down the rear seats in the C-Class, again, as a standard feature. Another ultra convenient item is you have the ability to lower or fold down the rear seats using electronic switches in the trunk. Now, this is so convenient. I drove the GLE 63S Coupe, and that's an SUV, and I complained about how I gotta go to the passenger area or basically the interior of the car to lower the seats. These electronically folding seats are great because you don't have to get distracted from loading your car. Oh, you're loading it up. Oh, I need more space. Let me just fold it down really quickly and not get diverted away from this loading process I'm doing inside my trunk. But beyond that, substantial size trunk, I could see you fitting 2 larger pieces of luggage in here, so no complaints about going on a weekend getaway or just carrying normal day-to-day things with you. Of course, the C-Class is going to be driven on a daily basis. Now, closing the trunk is electronic closing, soft close, which is always a nice feature. Now let me take you around to the side, show you these really cool looking wheels, and talk about the wheels, tires, brakes, and suspension. Alright, so let's start off with the suspension, and this has adaptive dampers, and because this is an AMG package car, it's lowered by 0.6 inches and has a sportier tuned suspension than a car without the AMG package. Now, as far as these wheels go, there are 7 different options in the C-Class. Of course, if you get the AMG pack car, you unlock certain wheels. These are one of those wheels. These are the most expensive wheels you can get in the C-Class. They're 19 inches on all 4 corners. They're a reasonable $600. And the reason why I say they're reasonable is because the value as far as the looks, these are really cool looking wheels, and I've been very vocal about Mercedes's wheel game recently. They're putting out really unique looking wheels, and these are no different in the new C-Class. As far as inside the wheel barrel, the brakes, because it's an AMG pack car, again, you're getting bigger brakes with silver painted Mercedes Benz calipers. The tires are 225s up front and 245s in the rear. So with all this talk about the wheels, tires, brakes, and suspension, now let me talk about what makes this thing go: the engine. Alright, so now the engine, and even though some might say it's very familiar, it's actually all new. It's a 2-liter turbocharged mild hybrid 4-cylinder, making 255 horsepower and 295 pounds-feet of torque. It's mated to a 9-speed automatic transmission, and it's putting power down to the rear wheels. Now, as far as the horsepower figure, it has not changed. 255 is the same as what you would have gotten in the last generation, but the torque figure of 295 is up 22 pounds-feet of torque from the last generation of the C-Class. Now, one of the other things that is notable in this generation is that it's now a mild hybrid. And why is it a mild hybrid? Because it's gained a 48-volt system that provides short bursts of additional 22 horsepower and 144 pounds-feet of torque. Now, just a second ago, I mentioned that this example I have today is a rear-wheel drive car, but you can get the new C-Class with 4MATIC all-wheel drive for an additional $2,000. It weighs about 3,800 pounds in the rear-wheel drive configuration and just a couple pounds more with the all-wheel drive, but it gets 0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds. It has a 17.4 gallon fuel tank and averages 29 miles per gallon in the city, 35 on the highway for a combined average of 29. Now let me take you onto the interior and show you about the vast differences that are going on in there. Alright, so now the interior of the new C-Class, and if you thought the exterior was similar to an S-Class, wait till you get in here. This thing almost feels identical to the new S-Class, except for obviously it's a little smaller, and then the air conditioning vents are cut in a different shape, and the steering wheel looks a little different. So I'll tell you about some of these details here in a second, but know that the car I'm sitting in is equipped with the $1,600 AMG Power Red seats, and this does give a different type of vibe. The leather is, I believe, Napa leather in these seats, and they do feel very, very nice. Now, I can't tell you the difference between this and a non-AMG leather seat, but I can tell you that these seats are very comfortable and they feel really nice as far as the leather goes. Now, some of the other characteristics about the seat. They're not adjustable in the sense that they don't have any side bolstering and stuff. So this seat is definitely geared towards a daily driver comfort seat as opposed to something a little bit more aggressive that hugs you. I wouldn't see any issues with somebody taller than I am fitting up here. I'm 5'10", 5'11", or somebody wider than I am as well. So no issues as far as the comfort of the seat. Now the steering wheel, the notable difference in the steering wheel is that because this is an AMG package car, you do get this unique flat bottom AMG twin spoke steering wheel. It's a great looking wheel. It does have aluminum paddle shifters and these touch sensitive areas that control the infotainment screen, the gauges in front of you. So it's an ultra convenient steering wheel. The gauges in front of you, 12.3 inch screen, literally the same that you would get in any other Mercedes with this gauge cluster. It's nice because it's very crisp, very clean, easy to read. Now out in front of you, you do have the ability to get a heads-up display, but remember that is as a part of the most expensive trim level. If you want heads-up display, you have to go to the highest trim level. You cannot get it as a a la carte option in the lower trims. Now coming over into the infotainment screen, it's a 11.9 inch infotainment screen. It's an all LED screen. It's very crisp. It's very clean, very easy to read. It is equipped with the latest version of MBUX, which I like a lot. It's very simple, very easy to use. You do have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay in this infotainment system in case you were just used to that type of layout and you didn't want to mess with the MBUX. But MBUX in and of itself is a great infotainment system. Everything is laid out in front of you in simple widgets. You have the ability to go into deeper menus and customize things the way you like. But overall, like I said again, it's a great infotainment system. Now, one of the cooler things about it, it does have biometrics, so you can use your fingerprint like you would use on your cell phone. And there's an area right here where you place your fingerprint, and that will customize certain things just in case you're switching drivers. So if your friend is driving it, your wife, your significant other, your husband, whatnot, your children are driving it, they can just come in, place their fingertip here, and it will detect and automatically customize the car to their profile settings. So that's always a wonderful feature. Now moving along to storage and charging capabilities, you have 3 USB Type-C outlets. There's one right here on top of the cup holders, and there are 2 inside the center storage console. And you have 1 wireless charging station right next to those USB Type-C outlets I was just talking about. 2 cup holders with a generous amount of storage area there. And then as far as the storage area in the center compartment, really nice area here. You can fit your sunglasses, your cell phone, a bunch of other knickknacks. The door pockets are of decent size. You can fit a substantial size bottle of water there and other knickknacks as well. Now to round off the front seats, remember you have a standard sunroof in the base level of the C-Class, but this car has a panoramic sunroof which is controlled using this slider method here, which is really nifty and cool. But anyway, now let me take you to the back seats of the C-Class and tell you what it's like over there. Alright, so now the back seat of the new C-Class, and let's start off with the overall space. I am sitting behind myself at 5'10", 5'11", and you can see I have plenty of leg room. My hair is touching the ceiling, but I can see somebody who's maybe an inch or 2 taller than I am fitting just comfortably back here. The overall seating position and the armrest is actually very nice. I feel really comfortable here. The seats are nicely cushioned, and the overall space, I would say 2 people, obviously more than enough room in here. A third person could probably sit in here, but the challenges are with shoulder room. 3 individuals my size might have a squeeze in here, and also because the center tunnel here is actually quite high, so you're gonna have to share some leg space with the passengers on the outside seating area. Now some of the other features back here, I have the ability to stare out of the glass because of the panoramic roof. I've got 2 little storage areas where I can put a cell phone or some minor knickknacks, and I obviously have a center armrest that has a pen holder and 2 cup holders. So a couple of things that are some shortcomings here. One, this is not really a big deal, probably expected in this price range, and that is this is a 2 climate control zone car. So the backseat passengers have to make do with what the driver or the passenger are doing in the front seat as far as the air conditioning, but you do have the ability to move around your own air vent and close it, open it to your liking. Now, the major ding or the major negative I have to give to Mercedes here is there are no charging ports in the back of the C-Class. Considering that everybody has a smartphone, a laptop, a tablet, give me at least one charging port back here for the passengers. You're giving me 3 up front plus a wireless charger. Give me something back here as well, Mercedes. Please put this into the refresh for the next generation, or the refresh of this generation of the C-Class. But overall, the interior of the C-Class is really, really nice. Of course, I like it because I like the S-Class interior, and because this resembles the S-Class basically down to a T. I really like the way this thing looks, both from an aesthetic standpoint. The $1,600 option leather is really nice. The overall display and the overall cosmetics of this interior are very pleasing to look at. The feel, it's a right size. I feel very comfortable in the front seat, also in the passenger area. So the quality is also very good. The fit and the finish is good. Don't expect S-Class levels because there are some hard plastics when you look really close. But to sum all of that up, it's a really, really nice interior from Mercedes in this new C-Class. So with all of that out of the way, now let's go to the driving portion of the review and see what this thing feels like behind the wheel. Alright, so now the driving portion of the review for this new C-Class, and as always, starting off with a key. It's a really nice looking key, but Mercedes kind of cheaped out and they didn't put the metal or the black gloss finished buttons here on the front and on the back cover here. They do that on the more expensive cars, so I'm not sure why they did that here. Anyways, it's just something I noticed. Next, the visibility in here is fantastic. Out the front is great. Out the side, I have blind spot monitoring. The camera system in this car is great. I do have the 360-degree camera in this car, so it's fantastic. No issues with visibility or safety features in this car. Now, the price of this thing, $43,550. So it's the premium trim plus the 19-inch wheels, $600. The navigation is another $550. The roof, the panoramic roof, another $1,000. And the AMG night package, $3,050 for a grand total of $55,470. So this car has roughly $12,000 in options. If you ask me, because of how well equipped the base level premium trim is, I would skip everything else. Just give me the base level premium pack or the premium trim level plus the AMG package car and the 19-inch wheels. It's about $47,000. Call it a day. I don't need the extra $3,000 paint. I personally don't care about the $1,600 upgraded interior. Skip all of that stuff and just $47,000, call it a day. That's how I would spec this car. Now, with that, let's go ahead and turn this thing on and go for a drive. Start stop button up here on the dash. And overall, it's a pretty nice place to be when you're driving. Put it in reverse, parking camera comes on. It's a really nice parking camera or rear view camera, and I can see the sidewalk here, which is fantastic. It'll help avoid curb rash on your wheels. So as I'm setting off, I am in comfort mode, and I personally didn't really feel much of a noticeable difference in some of the modes. And in comfort mode, it's actually very lofty, very nice, very comfortable feeling, very effortless to drive. Now the steering feels a little rubbery, but I'll get to that here in a second. I'm going to go ahead and put it in Sport Plus mode, and let's see how it goes. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, 0 to 60 in 6 seconds. I'm not expecting something to blow my head off. I feel that it would be more than adequate to drive on a daily basis or to pass on the highway. So it's got a nice amount of download torque, 300 pounds-feet of torque, or roughly 300 pounds-feet. But one thing about Sport Plus mode is that it's only available in the AMG package. So if you get a base car, you can't get Sport Plus mode. You only get individual, comfort, and sport. Now, let me switch it back to comfort mode and talk to you a little bit more about daily drivability here. So this is seriously a really nice car for somebody who wants to buy this, drive it on a daily basis. It's very comfortable. The seat is in a good position. The steering wheel and all the other ergonomics in this car are fantastic. The infotainment system is effortless to use. It's infinitely customizable. The benefit of having Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is a plus. I personally don't care about those things, but I know a lot of people use those features. And then the driving experience is as you would expect in a Mercedes in this price range, or just in a Mercedes overall. It's very quiet, it's very comfortable. Now, one other thing, touching back to the steering and then the suspension, the steering is actually very direct. There's no deadness, but it is lacking feel. And the feel that I do have from it, the overall sensation when I'm turning the wheel, it feels somewhat artificial and like a rubber band, if I could describe it in that way. But that's the steering. And then the suspension, surprisingly, is comfortable, it's tolerable, but I think the seat is the main contributor to the comfort, because as I'm driving over some of these uneven roads, I do feel like the car is moving. I am getting some feedback from the suspension. So it's not like a S-Class type ride when nothing is felt and all the bumps are soaked up. You are feeling some things, and I think Mercedes is doing that purposely because the C-Class is a sportier car. So some people buy these as sports sedans. They want to feel some of that sportiness in the C-Class, and it's definitely here. So overall, this is a really, really nice car. From an exterior standpoint, the design is great. Interior-wise, the ergonomics, the technology, the screens, the overall interior space, the trunk room, all of these things I found to be positive. And overall, I would say that this is a fantastic car to buy as a primary car to drive on a daily basis, as your nice car even to drive on a daily basis. So you can take this to work and then take your wife or your friends or your significant other, whomever, out to dinner, and it's suitable for all of those scenarios. So that's pretty much all I've got to say. If you have any other questions, please make sure to leave me a comment down below or send me a message on Instagram at DriveSteady. Otherwise, thank you for watching this video. Until next time, drive steady.